Hey everyone, this is Ben. I wanted to give you an update. I've been away for the past few episodes, yesterday, Monday, and Friday, but I wanted to let you know that I am on my way back. I am working out some new workflows. We're getting back into video, and I have been partnering with Really American. I'll share a couple of the audio bites from the video work that I'm doing with them now, but the goal is to get back into doing video for the show. And this is a great step in the right direction. So I just wanted to make sure I touch bases with you. I hope all of you are having a great week. So I'm working on some new workflows, and what that specifically means for me is just really logistics about how do I deliver the content at the quality that I would like to deliver it on a regular basis. And just want you to hang in there for a few more days as I work this out. All right, so buckle up. Here are some of the stories I've been covering this week.
Navaroli, let's talk about something real. I'd like to show you a tweet posted by former President Trump about my colleagues and I on July 14th, 2019. It says in part, quote, "Why don't they go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came? Then come back and show us how it's done. These places need your help badly. You can't leave fast enough. I'm sure that Nancy Pelosi would be very happy as quickly to work out free travel arrangements." A day or two after that, Donald Trump publicly incited, violence at a rally, targeting 4 congresswomen, including myself, saying, "Go back to where you came from." Ms. Navaroli, as I understand it, you were the most senior member of Twitter's content moderation team, or a senior member of Twitter's content moderation team when this was posted. As part of your responsibilities, did you review this tweet?
Yes, it was my team's responsibility to review these tweets.
And what did you conclude?
My team, made the recommendation that for the first time, we find Donald Trump in violation of Twitter's policies and use the public interest interstitial.
For the first time?
Yes.
And at the time, Twitter's policy included a specific example when it came to banned abuse against immigrants, as they specifically included the phrase, "Go back to your country," or go back to where you came from, correct?
Yes, that was specifically included in the content moderation guidance as an example.
You brought this up to the Vice President of Trust and Safety, Del Harvey, correct?
I did, yes.
And she overrode your assessment, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
And something interesting happened after she overrode your assessment. A day or two later, Twitter seemed to have changed their policies, didn't they?
Yes, that trope, "go back to where you came from," was removed from the content moderation guidance as an example.
So Twitter changed their own policy after the president violated it in order to potentially accommodate his tweet?
Yes.
Thank you. So much for bias against right wing on Twitter.
Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of the 14th Congressional District of New York outlining precisely why it is that the Republican talking point that there is somehow a type of bias against conservatives on social media or in any other place in this country. This idea that conservatives are censored more than anyone else is an outright fabrication. It's a lie. It's gaslighting of the highest order. And here is a specific example. This lead executive from Twitter making it clear that when Donald Trump clearly violated their terms of service with the exact language that was required to be a violation, that phrase being "go back to where you came from," was the specific phrase that was necessary to constitute a violation of Twitter's terms of service. Not only was Ms. Navaroli overridden by a higher up executive, but the entire policy itself was changed to benefit and to insulate Donald Trump from any type of accountability.
You brought this up to the Vice President of Trust and Safety, Del Harvey, correct?
I did, yes.
And she overrode your assessment, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
And something interesting happened after she overrode your assessment. A day or two later, Twitter seemed to have changed their policies, didn't they?
Yes, that trope, "go back to where you came from," was removed from the content moderation guidance as an example.
So Twitter changed their own policy after the president violated it in order to potentially accommodate his tweet?
Yes.
Thank you. So much for bias against right wing on Twitter.
Conservatives in this country pretend as though they are the most censored and somehow the most oppressed community on the face of the planet, which is laughable at face value, but we see the real implications of what that type of crying wolf that has always been a part of the Republican toolkit, but it is an effective part because despite the fact that conservatives are in no form or fashion oppressed in this country, white men are not, despite Candace Owens saying to the contrary, they are not discriminated against in any kind of fashion in this country. Despite that myth, it has implications when we talk about the right-wing echo chamber on social media now being amplified in the name of overcoming the very censorship that we now see, as evidenced by this testimony, did not exist. Not only did it not exist, but they did things to benefit the right wing in this country. This reminds me of the 2016 election. Everyone told us that there was a nothing burger when it came to Russian collusion. And here's what the narrative was that came out of 2016 from conservatives. Conservatives really cried, including Donald Trump, that the FBI was somehow stacked against conservatism. But now we see the reality is that the FBI had people not only in favor of conservatism, but actually in the pocketbooks of Russian oligarchs in order to help aid and abet people like Donald Trump. And so the reality is the same, whether it be in terms of the national narrative in general, whether it be in terms of the systems of justice, or whether it be social media. The system is designed to help these people. And yet they find it difficult to win elections without suppressing the vote. They find it difficult to win election without committing their own acts of voter fraud and voter disenfranchisement. They cannot compete in this meritocracy, yet they want to complain when a system is specifically designed to help them out. This is a tool that the Republican Party use relentlessly. They pretend as though they are the victim when they are, in fact, the victimizer. They pretend as though they are oppressed when they are indeed the oppressors. They pretend as though they are being silenced when they are literally doing the silencing. When you look at what's happening in the state of Florida with Ronald Dion DeSantis as governor, he is trying to do his best impersonation of the Sons of Confederacy by banning any book that has anything to do with Black history. The books are coming off the shelves all throughout South Florida. The entirety of Florida. They are banning books, yet they are crying and saying that they are the ones that are being censored. This is a technique of fascism. This is a tool of fascism. And it should surprise no one that the conservatives in this country have mastered it. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe to this channel.
Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and get twice the content and unfiltered interviews without any of the commercial interruptions. Welcome back to The Benjamin Dixon Show. Visit us online at thebenjamindixonshow.com.
I mean, I have to say that this is about the stupidest bill I've ever seen. Just a stupid, stupid, stupid bill.
Folks, this is exactly how everyone should talk to and about the Republican Party. Listen closely as Democratic Representative from the state of Massachusetts, Jim McGovern, rips apart the Republican Party's, quote, stupid, poorly written bill.
So this is a stupid resolution that was written poorly to begin with. We're talking about socialism in this resolution, but we're not talking about a definition or what it is. Are we talking about public schools? Are we talking about roads? Are we talking about Social Security? I mean, give me a break. We've been hearing this stuff for decades and decades. Republicans saying Democrats want socialism, and it's always some big scary takeover that's just over the horizon that everyone needs to be afraid of. When you don't have any good issues on your side and fear is all you have, that's what you run with, I guess. And that's the Republican playbook. You know what's funny is that the same Republicans who decry anything that government does as socialism never seem to have a problem when it comes to huge handouts for billionaire corporations. They want socialism for the rich, but capitalism for the poor. Now, call me crazy, but here's what I think. This resolution is not about socialism. It is about scaring people. It is about dividing people. And quite frankly, I think, based on what happened in the Rules Committee last night, it is about setting the stage to go after the social safety net in this country, which includes Social Security and Medicare. If that wasn't the case, why in the world would my Republican friends not allow a clarifying amendment to make it clear that that was not the intent?
Representative Jim McGovern absolutely ripped this legislation, this resolution, to shreds. Republicans are only going to do one thing over the next 2 years, and that's grandstand. They're going to put forward performative measures like this, which is just a signifier to their support base, who are so used to hearing dog whistles like socialism, when in reality, what they're trying to do is go after the Social Security safety net. They want to go after Medicare. They want to go after Medicaid. This is absolutely their plan. And so what they do is they use scary dog whistles, things that are scary to people who don't know enough history to understand exactly what the Republican Party is doing. Good on Representative McGovern for absolutely exposing the reality that Republicans are perfectly fine with socialism for the rich and rugged individualism, capitalism for the poor.
And let me just say to my Democratic colleagues, vote however you want on this. Doesn't matter, because it does nothing at all. Oh, it denounces Pol Pot. Of course we denounce Pol Pot. I've never heard anyone say anything nice about him. We denounced Stalin. Didn't know that needed a resolution. We denounced Kim Jong-un. Well, not all of us, actually. Because, in fact, if I remember correctly, it was the leader of the Republican Party, Donald Trump, who said he fell in love with him, who talked about how talented he was, who called him a great leader, who bragged about their chemistry. Did any of my Republican colleagues speak up when a brutal tyrant named in this resolution was applauded on the world stage by the President of the United States? Did they denounce that? You know what's interesting, Mr. Speaker? One name I noticed was missing from this list: Vladimir Putin. Like, what's up with that? I mean, we condemn Lenin and Stalin, but not Putin? Is that like a Trump thing? Did he put in a call? Seriously, why is Putin left out? And by the way, this isn't just a stupid bill, it's a badly written stupid bill. It lays out all of these awful people and then says we're, quote, rejecting the implementation of socialist policies in the United States of America. And nobody, not a single person so far, has been willing to clarify for me what exactly that means. What the hell are they talking about? Are we talking about public schools here? Fire departments? Roads? What about Medicare and Social Security? Republicans have called Medicare and Social Security socialist programs for years.
Because that's their plan. Their plan is to absolutely go after the safety nets. The few safety nets that we have in this country, it's too many for the Republican Party. The Republican Party absolutely is comfortable with you having to work until you die. They're absolutely comfortable with you not being able to get any type of health care, let alone some kind of socialized health care. They're absolutely determined to make this country as untenable, as unbearable as they possibly can for every single American who is not rich. Now, Jim McGovern was not done. Listen as he actually exposes the fact that the Republicans in this resolution, they condemn socialism, but they would not condemn Nazism.
We gave you an opportunity to expand the list to include the National Socialist German Workers' Party, which are the Nazis, who were responsible for the killing of 6 million Jews, and everybody voted no on the Republican side. I just can't get my head around why that was such a controversial addition.
And Jim McGovern still wasn't done with the Republicans' resolution. Listen, as he completely eviscerates them for condemning Joseph Stalin, Vladimir Lenin, but refusing to condemn Vladimir Putin, who is right now the tyrant who has invaded the sovereign nation of Ukraine.
And by the way, you know, when I go home, people are not bringing up Stalin and Lenin and Pol Pot all the time. They are bringing up Putin, and they are concerned about what he's doing in Ukraine. And maybe the reason why Putin is not on this list is because the other side of the aisle is divided in their support to help protect the sovereignty of the Ukrainian people.
And the truth of the matter is that the Republican Party is barely divided. There are only 1 or 2 Republicans who are standing against Vladimir Putin. The rest of them have vowed their allegiance to him. They have thrown their support. They are in league. They are absolutely on the side of Vladimir Putin to the detriment of the United States of America. These are the same insurrectionist, treasonous individuals who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. And he's making it clear that this resolution that they're trying to pass, grandstanding against socialism, is actually an attack on our safety nets. It's their way of scaring their base into voting against their best interests, which they have been able to do for generations. Here's a reality about the modern Republican Party. They are treasonous insurrectionists. They absolutely will overthrow this democracy simply because democracy has become inconvenient for them. They absolutely will eviscerate our safety nets because they believe every pot of money that is gathered by taxes in this country should go to the rich, while everyone else languishes in poverty and extreme circumstances. This is who they are. And the reason this bill is a poorly written, stupid bill is because it was written by very stupid people. We're not dealing with conscience of the conservative Barry Goldwater. We're not dealing with the William F. Buckleys. We're dealing with Marjorie Taylor Greenes and Matt Gaetz. And so it is a very ignorant bill written by very ignorant people with very malicious intentions for the United States of America.
I mean, I have to say this is about the stupidest bill I've ever seen. Just a stupid bill. And let me just say to my Democratic colleagues, vote however you want on this. Doesn't matter because it does nothing at all.
Be sure to share, like, and subscribe to this channel.
Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and get twice the content and unfiltered interviews without any of the commercial interruptions. Welcome back to The Benjamin Dixon Show. Visit us online at thebenjamindixonshow.com.
A member of the Republican caucus threatened my life, and you all and the Republican caucus rewarded him with one of the most prestigious committee assignments in this Congress. Don't tell me this is about consistency.
Preach, AOC.
Don't tell me that this is about a condemnation of anti-Semitic remarks.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the firebrand representative from New York's 14th Congressional District, read the House Republicans for filth for their hypocrisy, ousting Representative Ilhan Omar from the Foreign Affairs Committee over allegations of anti-Semitism.
When you have a member of the Republican caucus who has talked about Jewish space lasers and an entire amount of tropes, and also elevated her to some of the highest committee assignments in this body. This is about targeting women of color in the United States of America. Don't tell me, because I didn't get a single apology.
Time has expired.
When my life was threatened. Thank you.
She is a force to be reckoned with. Now, keep in mind, Ilhan Omar has bipartisan support for the outstanding quality of her work on foreign affairs.
I am Muslim. I am an immigrant. And interestingly, from Africa.
And when Republicans had the unmitigated gall to oust her sister in the squad, Minnesota Representative Ilhan Omar, from her committee assignments, AOC used the power of oration to call out the hypocrisy of the Republican-controlled House of Representatives led by Marjorie Taylor Greene and assisted by Kevin McCarthy.
When you have a member of the Republican caucus who has talked about Jewish space lasers and an entire amount of tropes, and also elevated her to some of the highest committee assignments in this body. This is about targeting women of color.
We have an Islamic invasion into our government offices
They want to put their hand on the Quran and be sworn in? No.
I am Muslim. I am an immigrant, and interestingly, from Africa. Is anyone surprised that I am being targeted?
Also, as a fellow New Yorker, I think one of the things that we should talk about here is also one of the disgusting legacies after 9/11 has been the targeting and racism against Muslim Americans throughout the United States of America, and this is an extension of that legacy.
And yet, because the resident Karen of Congress, Marjorie Taylor Greene, is still upset about being ousted just 2 years ago from her committee assignments because of her anti-Semitism and her conspiracy theories, Ilhan Omar has become yet another black victim of a mediocre white supremacist.
The generations of black and Hispanic men, do you want to know what holds them down? Gangs.
AOC then juxtaposes Ilhan Omar's fight with white supremacy with her own.
I had a member of the Republican caucus threaten my life, and you all and the Republican caucus rewarded him with one of the most prestigious committee assignments in this Congress.
Congressman Paul Gosar, the village idiot representing Arizona's 4th Congressional District, threatened the life of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Congressman Paul Gosar posted a photoshopped anime video that depicted him, you're hearing this right, killing Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
I had a member of the Republican caucus threaten my life.
Yet Republicans refused to expel Paul Gosar from Congress when he threatened the life of AOC. Republicans even went so far as to promote this self-admitted domestic terrorist to, as AOC says, prestigious committee assignments.
And the Republican caucus rewarded him with one of the most prestigious committee assignments in this Congress.
He threatened AOC's life, and the Republican Party promoted him. And I can imagine this is why Representative Ocasio-Cortez flamed on the House floor.
Congress, don't tell me this is about consistency.
She took them to church.
Don't tell me that this is about a condemnation of anti-Semitic remarks.
She lifted her hands in the American sanctuary.
Don't tell me, because I didn't get a single apology.
Time has expired.
When my life was threatened. Thank you.
And then there's the curious case of the GOP's drag queen hypocrisy. The Republican Party is the first party in American history to ever elect to office a drag queen. And as the GOP celebrated the removal of Ilhan Omar from her committee assignments, Republicans appointed America's most prolific liar, George Santos, to prestigious committee assignments.
Voting to remove Representative Ilhan Omar from the Foreign Affairs Committee.
Question: if the Republican Party is the party of integrity, then how could they ever allow the habitual liar, George Santos, to ever speak from the floor of the House of Representatives?
The passage of H.R. 76 sends a strong message that we support Israel and the Jewish community.
Answer: the Republican Party has no shame. Conservatives lie to the American people all the time. They elected George Santos, the prolific liar from New York, who claimed to be Jewish so that he could win election. And when we found out that he wasn't actually Jewish, he claimed that he meant he was Jew-ish, as in black-ish, as in one of the most anti-Semitic tropes one can conjure up. They allowed him to condemn Ilhan Omar.
Mr. Speaker, today I rise to congratulate my colleagues on voting to remove Representative Ilhan Omar from the Foreign Affairs Committee.
And the greater hypocrisy, the Republican Party ejecting Ilhan Omar from Congress over allegations of anti-Semitism when the Republican Party is inundated with anti-Semites, like the very Nazis Republicans refuse to disavow.
We gave you an opportunity to expand the list to include the Nationalist Socialists, which are the Nazis, and everybody voted no on the Republican side.
Congress, don't tell me this is about consistency.
There is no consistency. They call Democrats anti-Semitic, but they are the party who refuses to condemn Nazis. There is no integrity. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez called this for exactly what it is.
There is nothing consistent with the Republican Party's continued attack except for the racism and incitement of violence against women of color in this body.
From Donald Trump saying Nazis are fine people, to Ron DeSantis supporters flying Nazi flags right next to DeSantis country flags, to Marjorie Taylor Greene, the very Congresswoman who, like the high school mean girl she is, waited 2 years to exact her vengeance on every Democrat she could because she was expelled from her committee assignments just 2 years ago. The hypocrisy is the point. It is the Republican Party's weapon of choice. And we've yet to figure out precisely how to counterpunch against their masterful gaslighting.
Recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you. Now, as a fellow New Yorker, I think one of the things that we should talk about here is also one of the disgusting legacies after 9/11 has been the targeting and racism against Muslim Americans throughout the United States of America. And this is an extension of that legacy. Consistency, there is nothing consistent with the Republican Party's continued attack except for the racism and incitement of violence against women of color in this body. I had a member of the Republican caucus threaten my life, and you all and the Republican caucus rewarded him with one of the most prestigious committee assignments in this Congress. Don't tell me this is about consistency.
Be sure to share, like, and subscribe to this channel.